I am with Amandeep Gill, UN Tech Envoy, and today we will be talking about how AI is transforming the world, and not just in the context of Government of India hosting an AI summit, but how the entire AI space is evolving. Welcome, Mr. Gill, and thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you,
before
Gagan.
we
Thank you for
delve,
having me.
thank you. Yeah, and since you belong to Chandigarh, it makes it your presence makes it even more special for us. Thank you so much for
It's a
joining us.
pleasure
Right.
to be.
So before we delve into artificial intelligence, let's begin with your story. You are like a Chandigarh born, and you studied at Punjab University. So tell us a little bit about your journey from Punjab University, from Chandigarh to United Nations.
Right. So I studied engineering, electronics, and communications at the then Punjab Engineering College. I also had an interest in social sciences. I worked for a while close to Chandigarh at Punjab Communications Limited, and then I joined the Indian Foreign Service, served around the world, focused a lot on strategic technologies, nuclear, space, and then joined the UN in 2022 as the tech envoy, and I've been in this role as the envoy for digital and emerging technologies since July 2022.
So, yeah, that's great. Can't be prouder. So let's talk about artificial intelligence, which has created a lot of buzz around. So AI is moving faster than anything we have seen before. Some people are excited, a lot of people are nervous. So from where you sit at United Nations, what does this movement look like?
It's a very significant moment. This technology is a general purpose technology, like electricity, like steam, like computerization. So it's going to transform our economies, our societies in very, very significant ways. So there's excitement and obviously there's concern because when you have powerful technologies, sometimes you have powerful, important risks also of exclusion, of bias, growing divides. So at the UN, we look at the impact of these technologies from the perspective of opportunities, but for the sustainable development goals, for example, but also risks for human rights,
Mhm.
for equity, and also some of these challenges in terms of shifts in labor markets for which our institutions are not ready.
All right, yeah. So talking about challenges, so whenever a powerful technology comes, the world eventually creates rules around them, right? So do you think AI needs global regulation now?
AI definitely needs global governance. Regulation is something that's more, in this case, in the realm of national governments. So, India, for example, has the DPDP Act in terms of data protections, law based regulation of data. The European Union has both law based regulation of data but also artificial intelligence. So, different jurisdictions we see at the UN are taking their own approach to these powerful technologies. But we need in addition to the national level action, we need some global coordination of governance responses so that there's interoperability and there are no gaps in governance when it comes to critical important risks like human rights violation, discrimination, exclusion.
Yeah, that's right. So you have worked closely on discussions around autonomous weapons, I suppose, right? Huh? How worried should the world be about AI in warfare?
So currently, my role doesn't involve looking at the military application of AI,
Hmm.
but in the past, I've worked on this. I think this is one of the concerns we have. So you have short-term concerns. I mentioned exclusion, bias, some medium-term concerns like shifts in the labor market, but also shifts in the way warfare is conducted. So the Secretary General has asked for a ban on weapons taking life and death decisions autonomously. So this is one of those concerns that these technologies somehow escape the control of international law. So this is a continued concern also in terms of new arms races and also in terms of lowering the threshold of conflict. People become more trigger happy
Yeah,
because humans are not being killed. There are no body
exactly.
bags.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
robots fighting wars. Yeah.
Exactly. So, right. So do you see artificial intelligence becoming the main factor deciding which countries lead the world in future? Like, so AI is now it's just race, not just economic race. It's a political and strategic race also. So do you like what do you think about this?
I think it'll be simplistic to say that AI will be the deciding factor, but technology in general is one of the most important factors in deciding how competition shapes up across the international landscape. AI is a very powerful technology, multi-purpose application. So there is indeed a lot of interest at the leaders level in ensuring that there's sovereignty around AI, in ensuring that the economic benefits from AI are not lost to the country concerned. And so, therefore, there is this element of competition in reality. At the UN, we are not saying that there shouldn't be this competition, but I think there should be collaboration as well, what we call digital cooperation, so that this competition does not descend into areas that are destructive. You mentioned weapon systems, or some other ways in which you tend to gain an advantage at the cost of another, and then you get into this spiral downwards into less and less cooperation. Technology has developed, digital technology in particular, because the internet was open and it is a global public good. So I think there are advantages to working together on AI as well, which we should not lose sight of.
Okay, so talking about countries which are holding the par in this AI race, like US and China are far, far ahead than developing nations. So, do you think US or China or these countries will agree to cooperation in this space, since they are dominating entirely like this space?
So at the UN, I'm optimistic about cooperation among nations. So in 2024, we saw the US and China put forward resolutions in the GA, General Assembly, which were adopted by consensus. So they supported each other's resolution. And both of them, along with other 191 countries, all 193 countries at the United Nations, came together to adopt the Global Digital Compact in September 2024 with significant new decisions for artificial intelligence. So they are collaborating, and we hope to see more of that collaboration. But these are not the only two countries that should be at the table. Every country should be at the table. That's the beauty of the UN, that you have this inclusive setting.
Yeah, so talking about inclusivity, so a concern among developing nations is that they are being left behind. So how do we make sure that AI progress is inclusive? How does UN make sure? Like,
This is a very, very important concern, one of the most important for us at the UN. The existing digital divide that is now bleeding into the AI divide. To give you an example, all of Africa last year had less than 1,000 GPUs, graphics processing units, for training AI models, whereas a single university in China has more than that, and private companies in the US have multiple numbers of that. So this is a
massive
real
inequality.
divide.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Data centers, again, there is a divide. So you need to ensure that AI works for all of humanity. All of humanity has the skills, the enablers to manage the risks and harness the opportunity. It shouldn't be that some countries, some companies take all the benefits and the risks are loaded disproportionately on to the rest of the world.
Fair point. So, given your Indian roots, let me bring the conversation home. So, where do you see India's biggest strength in AI?
India has, I would say, several strengths in AI. One, of course, is the sheer size of the digital economy in India.
Yeah.
There is, let's say, a foundation of digital public infrastructure through which data flows. The data rates are, some of the cheapest in the world. So you have this foundation, in a
Yeah,
sense, of
for sure.
availability, interoperability of data. And then you have talent. So there's significant talent from India, not only active in India, but also globally in AI development. And I would add a third very important one. There is trust in India in terms of what technology can do to improve lives. And so you see many problems in terms of logistics, in terms of mobility, urban management, but the public thinks that technology can bring some solutions to those problems.
That's a very interesting point you made. There's a trust in India. So, of course, like that's great. So, like India has built a very strong public digital platforms. Yeah, like they are like even our companies, IT companies, they have built like very strong this thing like delivery systems and strong uh, shopping sites and stuff like that. So do you think they can deliver in AI space also?
I see them already using AI in their working.
But
So
mostly using the ones made by like US companies or like, isn't that the
indeed, so
thing?
that's where you start often.
Yeah.
And then I see also many of them using their own models, small language models, SLMs, models that are trained on Indian data, context specific data. And AI, in a sense, is a productivity enhancing technology. So there's a lot of scope for productivity enhancement, not only in industry and the services sector, but also agriculture in India. And it's encouraging to see some of this usage take off, including in my own hometown, Chandigarh. You have exciting startups that are working in AI, developing their own technology. I think so. I'm very optimistic about what India can achieve with AI. There's also a significant degree of policy facilitation from the government, the National AI Mission, and now next, in a few days we have the AI Summit. So high level political attention is being given to AI.
Yeah. So another concerning thing is like so far Indian IT companies have been service providers. So that's why they are bearing the brunt of all this AI or like more recently Anthropics, SaaS place, which is being said, right? So how do you think like Indian companies gear up for this challenge?
I think that concern is legitimate and valid to a degree that traditional software companies will come under pressure from AI. And, AI writing code is one of the most significant advances. The advance is quite fast, in fact. So the concern is legitimate. But I've seen since, early 2025, uh, Indian companies in the IT sector being very aware of this and already taking steps. One is they are incorporating AI into their own workflows, to their own code development. So improving, let's say, delivery for their own customers in terms of timelines for projects, how the project is managed, reducing their costs. So they are taking advantage of AI. The other thing is they are adding new services in terms of supporting AI development, not just data annotation, but you have a lot of new requirements around AI development, AI maintenance. And then finally, I think many of them are also getting into their own AI enhanced products or AI specific offerings. Early signs yet, so some way to go. But I would see this not just as a threat, but also as an opportunity. And also an opportunity for newer companies, because we are talking about
Yeah, there'll
incumbents.
be like
There'll
cost
be
reduction and a lot of things. Yeah.
so opportunities for Indian startups to kind of make their own, like achieve the same goals that the customer is looking for, but from an AI first perspective, rather than I'm building AI on top of an existing SaaS type of offering.
That's a very optimistic view, so that gives some hope. So now let's come to the very like the most important question. Let's talk about livelihoods. So people are really worried like AI will take away their jobs. How should governments prepare for that, and how should people at the grassroots, those who actually really fear that the AI will take away their jobs, like what do you like suggest?
Some years back, I was involved with the first AI task force. Then Minister Commerce and Industry, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, had put together a task force. There, she asked us to look at the impact because this is an important consideration for political leaders. And our sense was that there will be job shifts. Some areas will see reductions because of increased productivity coming from AI. Other areas will see new jobs opening up. And on balance, our sense at that time was, more optimistic that,
So
today,
do you
today
see
I'm a
more
little
jobs being created than lost in that sense?
so at that time, so this is back in 2017,
Okay,
18.
right.
So then, LLMs came, Gen AI came, and today you have capabilities that are, quite close to what smart white collar workers would do. So today I'm a little less sanguine about this. So I think governments need to be very active. They need to invest in skilling, reskilling, preparing the workforce for the AI disruption, but also the AI opportunities. So I would say this is a three-layered policy challenge. At a very basic level, it's the AI applications, using AI tools as they are available commercially to enhance our own productivity, whichever field we are. Call it AI literacy, AI absorption capacity. Then you have slightly more, let's say, technical, sophisticated skill set that's required. For example, in small and medium sized enterprises, workers, middle managers, where they have to integrate AI into their own workspace. How you are dealing with data that's being generated. Can I improve data generation by using AI? And then finally, you need the development capacity, which is where you are creating your own models and developing applications in cross-domain areas like agriculture meets AI, public health meets AI. So I think governments need to be very serious about mass skilling, reskilling, talent development across all these levels.
So let's break it down, this AI thing for our viewers. Like, how can, a common man benefit from artificial intelligence, instead of, losing their jobs to AI, and how can they actually make the most out of it?
Right. I just want to finish one thought from the skilling conversation.
Yeah.
I think in Hindi, Punjabi, we say ratta. So the scope and the role of ratta, rote learning in education is over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now we have to educate our children. So this is about education broadly. It's not about AI. Educate our children to be independent thinkers, to be autonomous in terms of how, and collaborative in terms of how they work with others. So some of those very specific human skills, empathy, collaboration, creativity. So education overall needs to be strengthened, and that's a huge challenge in the global south in particular. So when it comes to the common person, I would say don't be scared of AI, experiment, adopt,
Yeah.
in your own day-to-day working, try and adopt AI, play with it in a sense. Be careful that, don't give it godlike attributes that somehow, I'm dealing with an intelligent being. So there's nothing fundamentally intelligent in the way we humans are intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay, it's at the end of the day mathematical calculations.
Exactly.
So we need to not be deluded by the technology, and at the same time we shouldn't be scared by it. We should use it.
We just need a different perspective, right? Yeah. So
Absolutely.
another thing I want you to talk about is deepfakes, and like, the AI thing. The generative AI has made deepfakes frighteningly real, right?
Right.
You cannot make out like whether this thing is a real or this thing is fake. You see videos. I just recently saw a video of a girl. She's reciting Urdu poetry, and her video got almost millions of views, like 25 million or so, if I'm not wrong. So the original video of a girl who was actually reciting this Urdu poetry, there was just a few thousands of views. And just because that AI created that girl like so perfectly, the face is so perfect, the voice is so perfect. So this is like very scary. How do you deal with such things? Like,
This is a very significant concern.
yeah.
So at one level, it's about reality distortion, manipulation of reality. So for political purposes, for commercial purposes, whatever. So I think you have to deal with it at the level of the source. So how this is labeled, also at the level of liability. If something goes wrong, who's responsible? And I see many countries, from my perch at the UN, many countries taking this seriously, creating strict liability requirements, labeling requirements. We've seen recently a case with a social media platform. So sexualized images were being generated, and there was a backlash, and the platform had to change its rules then.
Yeah.
So there are solutions to these problems provided we sharpen the accountability, keep up the pressure. I think the other aspect that's concerning is that you mentioned this kind of a, somehow perfection being brought in. So we already see that with digital platforms, many of them impose a heavy psychological burden on young people, girls in particular, in terms of, body
Yeah,
weight,
they are
so
becoming
they
so conscious about their
exactly.
looks, how they look like. This
Yeah,
has become a very,
it's become a problem. It's a problem for families, but it's also a problem for society at large. So I think we need to be very, very careful about it. There are some, of course, regulatory responses, but also a lot needs to be talked about at school, in families. In some countries, there are now legal restriction in terms of access to social media below a certain age,
yeah, that's right.
15, for example. So I think we need to have serious, serious conversations and actions on these issues.
Okay. So let's talk about UN's practical role here. So what concrete role can United Nations play, like in this specific thing?
So, first of all, it's about these issues of human rights, human dignity, human
Yeah.
agency. You gave this example,
Yeah.
this girl. So, gender, for example, is a very, very important theme for us. It has taken us thousands of years to reach a stage where, as a civilization, we are respectful to each other. There are ways in which we work. And when in a society like India, that for a fact. It's part of the culture. So we don't want, our role at the UN is to make sure that people don't forget about these norms, these aspects of international law. The UN is the repository of international law.
Course, yes.
So anything to do with AI has to be based on the foundation. The second role the UN can play is in bringing the world together to cooperate on governance. So we've recently set up through the General Assembly an international independent scientific panel on AI, 40 experts, including a prominent expert from India. They'll assess this technology regularly, present reports so that all of us can make policy informed by scientific evidence. So that's an important function of the UN. Likewise, a new dialogue is starting this July in Geneva and next year in New York for governments and private sector and others to come together and talk about how they are governing AI, how are they addressing these risks. And the third area where we are very active is capacity building. You mentioned the AI divide. The Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, has proposed innovative options, including a global fund for urgent investments in AI related infrastructure in the 80, 90 countries that are most at risk of being left behind. So, across science, policy, and capacity, and of course, convening, bringing the world together and grounding AI in our shared norms, the UN has an essential role to play.
So let me end this on a very reflective note. When you look at AI's future, what gives you hope and what worries you the most?
What gives me hope is the ability to address many of these challenges to socio-economic development that we struggle with, especially in developing countries like India. Through our traditional means, these challenges may require 30, 40 years. Take the case of financial inclusion through the India stack. So that got accelerated. 40 years became 7 years. So that's the excitement around AI accelerating human progress. What concerns me the most is that we somehow do not lack yet the institutional capacity and also the human capacity to deal with these very powerful technologies, impact on our relationships, how societies are, how institution and power that is managed through these institutions can be impacted by AI. So we need to really address this pacing problem, readiness of our institutions, of individual societies to deal with this powerful technology, and this gap between where we are today and where we need to be to thrive in an AI world.
So thank you so much, USG Gill, being part of this conversation. We are really excited, like you joined us, and we hope like you again come here and we have, we just further this discussion as the AI progresses.
It was
Thank you
my
so much.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gagan.